everybody. It's your favorite boxing analyst reporting live from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. So, I know that Naoya Inoue's been getting a lot of unwarranted hate from the certain section of the boxing media and the certain section of boxing fans in America. And we all know who that certain section of people are. I don't even need to keep beating a dead horse because they're full of shit about everything they talk about. But with that being said, so Inoue set to defend his undisputed super bantamweight title against TJ Doheny in Tokyo on September the 3rd. I'm just happy that Inoue's staying active. I'm happy that he's staying busy. I'm happy that he's consistently knocking off contender after contender after contender. People got a little too trigger happy with Inoue consistently jumping up in weight, bro. Yes, that's something he can do in the future. I eventually want to see what he can do at featherweight at 126 pounds. But for the time being, 122 is the best weight for him right now. And even though he dominated his last fight against Luis Nery, he did get caught early in the first round. He wasn't hurt real bad or nothing. But it's just showing that Inoue's starting, the size is starting to affect him a little bit, with regards to him consistently moving up in weight. But the guy's already a four-weight champion. Like I said, by the time it's all said and done, I imagine he'll be the sixth five-division champion in boxing history, the first five being Hearns, Leonard, De La Hoya, Floyd, and Manny Pacquiao himself. So, but nobody's Manny Pacquiao. We can't ask the guy to just kind of move up weight class after weight class in single bouts, bro. That's something we're probably not ever going to see again, than what we saw with Pacquiao. But Inoue is, as I've been saying for a long time, is a great in his own right. But he's, and another thing about, we'll get into that, but he's got TJ Doheny coming up. Now, Doheny, he's a tough Irish kid. He's a tough Irish, shouldn't call him a kid. He's fucking 30. He's in his late 30s, for God's sake. But he's a tough Irish fella. 5'5", about the same height as Inoue, but he's the naturally bigger man. He's the stockier man. He's the thicker man. No homo, And he's a southpaw, but again, Doheny's a southpaw, but Inoue's fought high-caliber southpaws before. Omar Narvaez in particular, and Marlon Tapales as well. So it's not like he's the first good southpaw fighter he's fought. The thing I do like about TJ Doheny in this fight, though, is he's fought in Asia and in Japan consistently. He's not a stranger with going over to Southeast Asia and fighting. So he does have that under his belt. Tokyo and Japan and Southeast Asia in general are familiar territory with him. So it's not like this is his first time going overseas to fight like some of these other guys were. And again, speaking of that, I don't knock Inoue for fighting consistently in Tokyo. All these other Amero bums are too scared to leave Las Vegas half the time. So this is what kills me. When Floyd and Canelo don't want to leave Las Vegas, that isn't a problem. But when Inoue doesn't want to leave Tokyo, all of a sudden it's a fucking problem, even though he's fought in the States 3 times, which these boxing, air quote, journalists conveniently forget to mention all the time. But long story short, Doheny's no stranger with fighting in Southeast Asia. It's familiar territory to him, so the trip of going over there isn't going to have the effect on him as it did some of these other guys. And he's a southpaw. He is a little bit older. He's a hard hitter. He's got 20 knockouts. His record's 20-4 with 20 knockouts. He's a good little fighter. But do I see him dethroning Inoue? No, not at all. And Doheny has had some comeback fights. He's come back. He's been the underdog a few times, and he's on a little bit of a win streak. He's knocked his last 5 opponents out, so he's on a bit of a roll right here. And again, I think he's powerful. He comes forward, and he's a lefty. And like I say, Southeast Asia and Tokyo in particular isn't foreign territory to him. So I think this makes for a pretty fan-friendly affair, man. I do. Do I see Doheny being the guy to conquer Inoue and dethrone him? No, not at all. I mean, even though Doheny is on a little bit of a roll and he's a southpaw and he's familiar with fighting in Asia, like I say, that doesn't change the fact that Inoue's been fighting a much higher caliber of opponent throughout his professional career. And as I've said before, Inoue has probably the most underappreciated resume in boxing right now. He's got undefeated Stephen Fulton, who was the unified, undefeated, consensus number one 122-pound champion of the world at the time that Inoue fought him. You know, he's got Stephen Fulton on his record. He's got Tapalis. He's got Neri. He's got Nonito Donaire 2 times over. And people will say Nonito was over the hill, and which he might have been, but the fact of the matter is Nonito in that second fight had just beaten an undefeated Nordine Bali and became champion again. So you got to give him credit where credit's due. Nonito was still champion when Inoue beat him in that second fight. He's got Omar Narvaez, Manny Rodriguez, Juan Castellano. So in my opinion, Inoue's got the most underappreciated resume in the sport, or at least one of them. And not to mention he's very active, he's very hard-hitting in his own right. And this is another important thing about Inoue that people conveniently forget to mention. He's fun to watch, and he's active, and he deserves credit. As much as I like Crawford, I love Terrence Crawford. He's also one of my favorites. But Crawford fights less than once a year. Inoue fights at a minimum of twice a year. And he's fighting stiffer competition with Errol Spence as the exception, in my opinion. And that's why I have Inoue ranked higher than him, upon the pound-for-pound list. Him and Usyk both. I have Crawford third. I think number one is disputable between Usyk and Inoue. But ultimately, I do see it being a fucking fan-friendly fight. I do see some good exchanges happening back and forth, and Doheny is on a little bit of a winning streak, and he is familiar with fighting in Asia. He's a southpaw, and he hits hard. So it should be fun while it lasts, but at the end of the day, the caliber of opponents that Inoue's fighting and versus the caliber of opponents that Doheny has been fighting is going to tell the difference. I expect both guys to get some licks in there, but ultimately I see Inoue getting rid of TJ Doheny in about 8 rounds after some good back-and-forth action and another fan-friendly affair. And I think as the fight progresses, Inoue will slowly start to take over and eventually put Doheny away. So for my official prediction, I'm going Naoya Inoue, 8th round knockout in a pretty fun fight. That's my 2 cents anyways, guys. Please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you're feeling generous, please drop a super thanks or hit the boys' Cash App up. I'm sure.
All calls other than properly placed attorney calls may be monitored and recorded.
I'm sure Tyler Miller or Mr. B will be able to get you in touch with my Cash App in case any of you guys feel like donating. With that being said, God bless. You guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening to my video. Take care, and bye-bye. God bless. Peace. Done.